Yeah, dude, you're totally live. All right, everybody. I'd like to introduce my friend Meylo, and I'll let him give a quick introduction. So this is everything from now on is going to be recorded. It'll be posted on our YouTube page, so if you want to go check it out, everything should be on there. It's is that yours or mine?
That's you.
All right. Goodbye, Mr. Meylo.
All right, guys. Thank you for everyone being here tonight. Super impressed by the turnout. Drew called me up and he's like, come and hang out. There may be nobody here, so you'll be presenting in front of me. And I'm like, yeah, great practice. And then like all you guys show up and I'm like, okay, I'm not nervous at all. You know, it's all good. A little bit about my company. So the name of the company is CSL. We specialize in live streaming. Let's get a little deeper into that. It's kind of the team. That's all of us here. This is us at the TIFT fishing tournament this year. Actually, 2 years ago. This is the team 2 years ago. So a little about the company. CSL is a video production company that specializes in live streaming and audio video services that are specifically designed to bring your most exciting live events to the big or small screen for all your friends and family to enjoy. And that's our website right there. So let's talk a little bit about the concept of like live streaming, and I'd like to really hear from you guys, like when you hear live streaming, when someone says like it's live, check it out, like what are the first thoughts that come to your head? Like please share, like let me know, like what do you guys think about when you hear live streaming? Is it usually a gaming environment or what? Y'all tell me.
Real time? You mean like real time, like instant?
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. That reminds me of latency. So real time, you all talked about that latency thing. How about you?
I think of the gaming environment when I hear live streaming.
It's a big part of it for sure. That's absolutely. The gaming environment is definitely a part. Yourself?
For me, I think about the ambience and the interaction with the viewers.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love hearing that. So my background is in design and branding. So when you consider design and branding, you're considering a brand that really wants to connect with somebody. That's something that I've been doing for about 20 years. And so when you put together a visual for somebody, identity for a company, you really want to make sure that you're connecting. You want to connect just at a normal, just like, oh, okay, well, there you go. It's more of an emotional thing. And so we want to make sure that when you see something that is relevant to you, that you're honing in on the things that you're watching. So there's a lot to consider when it comes to live stream, because placement for live stream also considers the demographic and all the platforms that exist for it. So if we're going to do a wedding, you're not going to actually put that on a social media platform. So you also have to consider like how we're going to get this wedding to people who can't see it. By saying wedding, I want to say that we're a product of the COVID, the pandemic that we just had. And this is something I always wanted to do. And when the pandemic hit, it was like, this is, if it's not now, then when? So it all started, you know, and yeah, sorry, question.
I think live streaming also took a big part of the COVID pandemic.
Yeah.
A lot of people, like me,
Sure.
myself, I also started live streaming a little tiny bit.
Right. So there was a saturation. We had kind of a comment here in the audience. There was a saturation of live streaming. So within like maybe 2 months when the pandemic hit, I know a lot of people, including myself, were like, well, that's live. You know, like, okay, so what am I going to get out of this? Everyone's going live. So there was a struggle for our company and our brand to make sure that we stayed relevant. And that's why I say this, you know, our brand and the fact that we have a background in branding and trying to connect with people was a good supplement to make sure that we're honing into the right people. But we're going to get into a little more of that kind of stuff here in a second. So here's the team, the main core partners, Steven Garcia. So I don't know, I was just having fun with it. Spends a lot of money on camera gear, that's his job. Jay Rodriguez makes sure things are in place, you know, that's kind of his thing. Yeah, so he has a theater background, so he works in a lot of production environment. So he's the guy also, if you go see a show, at a, you know, a theater-like performance, he's the guy that's probably handling all the lighting for it or something like that. And he's also really good on timing and making sure things get executed on time. And of course myself, and my title is Just Does Meylo Things. I just do whatever I do, right? So.
And sometimes
Exactly. You already know who I am here. He said that sometimes it works for me, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, it's part of being human. So a little bit of our clients currently right now, my rgvnews.com, TIFT, which is the Texas International Fishing Tournament. They're on their 83rd year, 2 years of live streaming. Welcome Home RGV, Futuro RGV. We have one person here that's also affiliated with that. Habitat for Humanity, that's the same person that's affiliated with that too. So we do work for UTRGV and D. Wilson Construction, Rio Farms. If you don't know Rio Farms, years in business. So it's really interesting that we were able to connect with both TIFT and Rio Farms, which is a good example of how you don't have to be an old business and say we're old and we're not going to work with technology. These guys are like ramped up to make sure that they can take all that in so they can also extend their brand and all the things that they're about. So there's just a little list of that, of our clients. It's not moving.
That's my laptop that keeps logging up. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see here. Yeah, I think it's frozen.
No.
Maybe it just doesn't want to work.
We get another one going while you sit down.
Yeah, no problem. Actually, let me just pop this up on my phone. Keep going. If y'all give me like half a second. So far, any questions? Pretty self-explanatory, right? Okay.
So, what kind of live streaming do you guys do for your clients?
How many events have you streamed?
In the last 2 years, probably a little over 100. Right around there somewhere.
This just did this to me like a second ago, man. Sorry about this, y'all. Always technical difficulties, right?
It already changed.
Oh, yeah, good. Let's just go through your whole presentation here.
Okay, we're done.
Sorry about that, y'all. Oh, look, animals.
So this is a good time to talk about what do you do when things go wrong. It happens a lot. You got to improvise. You have to really get creative with what you have in front of you. Often we're in front of award presentations or several different things that just like, okay, if there's a glitch, how do we make sure that the viewers are like not feeling what what had just happened? We deal with a lot of equipment. We deal with a lot of types of brands of equipment, and there you go. You know. I'm still trying to sign on here. I actually had to download Google Slides.
The thing fell.
Whatever.
Yeah, I know. Okay. I can also present from my phone if I can send it somewhere.
I got
Okay.
you.
Okay. All right.
Do you need that cable on the floor there?
No, that's just a power cord. Who needs those? Yeah. Beauty of the internet, y'all.
All right. Talk a little bit about the clients that we work for. By the way, Miss Virginia, you mentioned ETRGV. I have a little kind of comment I want to tell you about. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Perfect. Our markets: DJ concerts, classroom. We did a lot of virtual work during the pandemic. Forums and debates. That's also Futuro RGV. Worship. You know, we set up a lot of. Not only do we do the actual live stream, we can actually go to places and set up all the equipment for this. So they are the ones in charge of what they're doing. We do some training for that. The worship stuff we can definitely do. Ceremonies, weddings. We've done like some weddings and stuff. Special events. Special events would fall under like some of the award ceremonies that I mentioned earlier. That whole fishing tournament. The fishing tournament, by the way, was 3 days, and so If you guys are interested on how we accomplish that or put that together, it's our biggest event of the year. I'm gonna say that much. And with that, like, we were able to really like flex our streaming muscles, so to speak, and we go all out. I also have a camera here set up that I want to talk about at some point, and you guys are able to go and mess with it. It actually has a controller with it. We can move the camera around, and you can actually control it with this device over here. We're able to do a lot of interesting things that aren't normally done with the live stream. So we have like wireless run and gun cameras. We have drones that we can actually run and feed the live drone footage. So special events are our bread and butter, honestly, because we love to see a challenge, you know, like you can only do so many DJ sets or weddings and you're like, all right, let's just kind of, you know, like it's the same, right? Of course, the end user loves it and they're gonna thank you for it, but for us, we love the challenge. We want to like really figure out interesting and cool ways to tell a story. And then we've done some fundraisers, and of course, gaming, no problem. You know, that's easy stuff. Yeah, some of our gear. So we have these PTZ cameras that we use often, and these cameras actually do the pan, tilt, and zoom. That's what PTZ stands for. You zoom in and out, you move left and right, and yeah, that's what PTZ stands for. Our drones are up in the air. We can do that live feed too. And then our run and guns are the ones that are actually like either on your body or shoulder rig, wireless, connected to our like what we call our video control area, and that's how we actually capture it. So this is all capture, but also one of the things we really are big fans of. I personally am a sound engineer by trade. After I got out of college, I went into the advertising world. Go figure. But I use that engineering capability to make sure that the sound is the way it's supposed to be. All of this is done with the consideration of broadcast standards as well. So we don't just like let the camera do the work. We want to make sure that we want the camera to look a certain way and do certain things. Also, we have all these vector scopes and all these types of things to make sure that we're hitting our broadcast notes, I guess. And this is a little bit of how it works. This is the core 3. There's actually planning on the left side, and then also potential monetization on the. These are like, just imagine this off the actual screen. Monetization on the right-hand side too. So this is kind of our capture stuff on the first column. Our PTZs, our run and guns, our drones, and our mixer, which represents all the audio that's captured on all the events. And then it comes into all of these things that both encode and control and switch. We have a network. We've built a really interesting network for ourselves, which we were using Starlink for a little while, but that didn't work out for us because it's not, as we learned, it wasn't a good service for us because it dropped a lot of frames. And then we have like a Stream Deck controller. The interesting standard nowadays, or it's been for a long time, is to go through like NewTek, the company NewTek, to like run a TribeCaster or something like that. But this is where I like to kind of hopefully connect with you guys. I'm more on the open source kind of world and realm to to kind of see what is new out there. I think being in the open source domain is where you start to see the creators get really creative, I guess, with what they're offering. And so we run OBS, and we use all that stuff in the middle to make sure that we're producing a show that is essentially what you would normally see on this like really big. I myself have a little bit of like coding capability, just enough to be dangerous, I'd say. And so a lot of that stuff happens in the middle. And then once we have our content and our encodement, we push it over here to companies like Restream. We use AWS, Amazon Web Services, to actually do the help with the distribution of whatever content we're creating. And then from there, we go into our socials. You name it, we can go anywhere. You name it. And so one stream can go everywhere, thanks to Restream and AWS. And lastly, that's pretty much it. That's our company in a nutshell. I kept it really short and sweet for you guys. And so thank you for taking the time, and we can move over to some Q&A if you guys have any questions. Yes, sir.
Do you help stream for smaller content creators?
Absolutely. So we got launched our company was like, what do you do again? You live stream things? So we had to really put ourselves out there, and we gave away a lot of our services. And the person who hired us first, pro bono, was actually Habitat for Humanity. And so that was 2 years ago in December of 2020. Yeah. And so they had a fundraiser that they put together, and I told Gabby Jones, her name came up again, and Mario was part of this too. Also, by the way, Mario and I go pretty far back with working at the museum. Gabby worked at the museum, and I told Gabby, like, hey, I got this going on, let me know what I can do. So having a marketing background, it was really more about, well, I'm gonna have to give this stuff out. You know, I don't want to invest in digital marketing, really. I got people around me that I think I can connect with. And so kind of just went from there. So to answer your question, yeah, I gave a lot of my stuff away on purpose, and that was part of the marketing aspect of it, just to kind of let people know, like, this is kind of how we handle things, or this is what we're about. It's not a small rig. It's kind of if you were to show up to one of our streams, you're going to see people running around. You're going to see some bigger cameras. You're going to see our video control area. And we're capable of doing a lot with what we have. With a marketing background, a design background, and a little bit of understanding of what APIs are and how to kind of manipulate platforms for your own benefit. Like, for example, the TIFF tournament, we were able to work with a company out of Chile who actually was on site for the TIFF tournament that provided an API of all the scoring for the fish that were coming in. So we were able to, from a JSON file, grab all that content and tell people, like, a live ticker, and tell them, like, these are the most recent scores or the biggest fish that have come in. Yes, and we understand that that's a really big aspect of making the experience of a live stream worth checking out. It's as opposed to just watching people just, what are these guys doing? You got to keep people enticed. You got to keep them, if you already have a captive audience, you got to really consider how far can we keep them there.
Because we got the young lads here and the young lady that was here, you mentioned OBS.
Yes.
They're obviously into gaming and live
Sure.
streaming and things like that. This is my first time here at Code RGV. So, am I right in thinking that we could potentially offer classes with something like OBS? I mean, I personally use it at work. I've encouraged pretty much all my colleagues to use it to record webinars and training episodes. But again, we've got the young lads here and the young lady. Would you be willing to teach them how
Saturday
to
morning
use,
OBS session?
Yeah, absolutely.
to do like gaming, to live stream you?
Absolutely. We got founded on donating our time and energy for the right reasons, I hope, and we're never going to lose that. We want to be connected to the community and the right communities. So if we can show up and do something really fun and cool with whomever's out there who will take away something and benefit from it, we're in 100%.
And that's, so part of it also is that, like, everything, what Meylo does, he's got a whole setup to put it out there. We tried to make a mobile kit, which you see right here is what we're using. We tried to slim it down as much as possible, just specifically for this purpose. But everything here is a tool that you all can use, that you all can play with, that you all can learn on. So if you want to know how we're doing our streaming or how he's doing his streaming, we'd be happy to show them. That's what we're all about. So if you have experience doing OBS, if there's enough interest, we could put together a Saturday morning class, or even maybe the first Thursday of next month. Maybe we focus on building a live stream lab and show you how to download OBS, how to configure it, the things that you need. This is literally what Code RGB is for.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a lot. I mean, I have a very small setup myself with
Sure.
Elgato and OBS, a laptop and a DSLR.
Yeah.
And my daughter's getting into live streaming. I mean, she's 8 years old and she wants to do YouTube and stuff. And I'm 100%, as Jose will tell you, I'm 100% behind training, especially the younger generation. All these skills that we have, and I look around the room and there's some very talented people here. And we've got these youngsters who are keen. And if we
Just
donate
wait till we teach them how to act. We have fun on doing the penetration testing. That's the fun part.
Yeah, it's basically 5 parts, and there's so much software and technology out there to get where you want to go. So if you got a stream, there's a marketing aspect, a design aspect, a planning aspect, letting people know what's going to happen, getting your audience like excited about it. That's part 1. And then part 2 is the first one that you saw over here. Is like, okay, we got all the devices, we got everything to capture it, and then we got the encodement, which is the 3rd part, and getting everything to where it needs to be distributed online. And then there's actual distribution, and then at the very end, once it's out there and it lives forever on the platforms that you're on, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, whatever, then how do you benefit from that? How do you continue marketing that? So that's the master plan, but there's literally like 50 streaming devices out there. There's so much software that you can use for it, and then you can figure out how to market it yourself. You know, you can even hire a marketing agency to continue your brand or what things that you're pushing or whatever you're trying to get out there. So it's an interesting thing. It's a whole world. It's an ecosystem all within itself, and that's outside of what software you're using, what capture devices you're using. Drew's got this amazing like robot, and in like 2 weeks it's gonna like probably be walking around all by itself for all we know. And hey, that's what he designed. You know, it's an open market, and all that they want to do what they're doing. So if you're building a website, you know, you could, you know, I'm probably dating myself when I say things like homebrew. You know, like y'all talked about React.js. I'm very familiar with that. You know, and now anyone here use Docker at all for anything? We got 1 guy, 2 guys back there. Docker is amazing. Like that is like the coolest thing for me right now. We're able to put together we do some digital signage for certain companies because we can inject live streaming into their marketing of the signage. So without Docker and the containers that we built in Docker, then we wouldn't have been able to do that. So again, we're using the tools that exist today to execute the things that we want to do.
I'm doing a lot with 360 video right now, the full immersion on that. Are you guys venturing in any of that? Have you done any live stream 360 events? We have. If you guys know who Lab Padre is, have you ever seen Lab Padre? So he broadcasts all the launches of SpaceX, the Starship down on the island. So he's got a series of cameras that are set up all along that area. I donated some microwave links to him to make sure he had better. His feeds were pretty bad, so I donated a bunch of equipment to him to make the feeds better. And then we donated a camera from Access, so that it was before NASA tried to launch Artemis a couple of weeks ago and said, oh, it'd be the first one full immersion. You can get on a VR headset right now, and you can go to Lab Padre's YouTube channel, and you can put on a headset, and you're standing at the bottom of the Starship, which is incredible. And so there's things that are starting to come about. Has anybody asked you for that?
Not yet, but it's something we would love to do. It's just really like throw us the idea. And like I mentioned before, you know, a wedding, a DJ set, and a concert, yeah, no problem. Even a 360 would be cool with that too. But the fact that I think that we have again that marketing and design aspect, like how do we make sure we just don't show it? Let's really show it and connect and figure out how to do it. But we have a couple of 360 cameras, but no one's asked. So all right, well, whatever. It's also a lot more work, and we got to make sure that it looks really good. Time is of the essence, I guess. I don't want to say time is money. That sounds so like really nothing. But
I'm gonna cut the live stream right here.
Do it.
So we got it. So
yeah.